The pen felt heavier than it should have. My hand trembled just a little as I pressed it against the paper. Before continue, please subscribe our channel and like our video. Across the table, my husband, Mark Whitman, had smiled, that soft, reassuring smile he used whenever I seemed uncertain. "It's just a formality, honey," he said gently. "You trust me, don't you?" The lawyer sitting nearby cleared his throat softly, eyes flicking between us. Something in his silence told me this wasn't just paperwork. And I wish I had listened to that silence. I met Mark 15 years ago at a local charity dinner in Ohio. He was charming, successful, and always knew the right words. I was a widow then, still grieving, raising my teenage daughter, Emily, and trying to rebuild a quiet life. Mark stepped in like sunlight after rain. He was kind, patient, and so full of plans. He'd talk about the future as if it were already written. A new home, shared travels, a small business together. And for the first time in years, I felt hope. When we married, I brought with me the house my first husband and I had built, a lovely old 2-story with wide porches and magnolia trees. Mark brought ambition. He said we could renovate, invest, maybe even start a little design company together. It sounded romantic, the idea of creating something side by side. For a while, life was easy. Mark handled the finances. I kept teaching part-time at the community college, and Emily went off to study in another state. Whenever I asked about bank accounts or property papers, Mark would wave his hand gently. "Leave that boring stuff to me," he'd laugh. "You've got a big heart, but numbers aren't your thing." I wanted to believe that trust was love, but sometimes love hides behind trust, until it hurts. It started small, like most betrayals do. Mark began meeting people I didn't know, taking phone calls in the garage, locking his office door. He said they were business partners. "Nothing to worry about," he'd say. Then one evening, over dinner, he said casually, "Our lawyer will stop by tomorrow. Just some updates for the business. I'll need you to sign a few things since your name's on the deed." I froze. "The deed? For the house?" He smiled that same easy smile. "Just a technicality, sweetheart. It's all still ours. You trust me, right?" And I did, or at least, I wanted to. The next day I signed. Weeks passed. And Mark became distant. He stopped saying goodnight. He stopped asking about Emily. He started taking business trips I didn't know about, ones with no receipts, no emails, no real explanations. When I asked about money for groceries or bills, he'd sigh. "Can you be a little more responsible, Laura? I've been covering everything for months." That stung. I had my savings, my teaching salary, my own dignity. But when I checked the joint account, there were only a few $100s left. At night, I walked through our quiet house, the one I'd loved long before him, and felt something tighten inside me. The walls still held my first husband's laughter. My daughter's footsteps. Now it felt like someone was erasing all of that, one paper at a time. Then came the first letter, a notice from the bank, about a funny loan against the property. A loan I didn't remember signing for. I called Mark immediately. He laughed. "Don't worry, Laura, it's just a transfer. You probably forgot when you signed the business papers." But I remembered that day clearly. The lawyer's eyes, the long silence, the smile on Mark's face. No, I hadn't forgotten. That's when I started keeping notes. Dates, calls, every little thing that didn't add up. And slowly, a picture began to form, one that terrified me. One afternoon, while Mark was away, I got a call from Mr. Harris, the lawyer who'd been there that day. His voice was hesitant. "Mrs. Whitman, were you aware of the nature of the documents you signed a few months ago?" My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" He hesitated. "They weren't business forms. They were transfer documents, transferring full ownership of your property to your husband's company." My breath caught. That can't be right. He told me, I know what he told you, Mr. Harris said quietly, and I can't intervene without proof of coercion. But I thought you should know the truth. The room spun. My home, my trust, my life, all gone in a single signature. That night, when Mark came home, I didn't say a word. He kissed my forehead and said he'd had a productive day. And I realized, maybe for the first time, what kind of man he really was. For weeks, I pretended nothing was wrong. I cooked. I cleaned. I smiled when he talked, all while meeting quietly with Mr. Harris. We gathered documents, records, and emails, proof that Mark had misled me legally. Emily came home during this time. She noticed my silence, the tightness in my voice. "Mom," she said softly, "are you okay?" I told her a version of the truth, enough for her to understand, not enough to break her heart. She looked at me, steady and strong. "You taught me that dignity isn't silence. Mom, it's speaking when it matters." That night, I wrote everything down, every lie, every missing dollar, every fake smile, and with Mr. Harris's help, I filed a formal complaint. Quietly, legally, I didn't confront Mark. I just waited. The day of the hearing, Mark looked calm, even confident. He wore his best suit and offered me coffee before we left. "You don't need to be nervous," he said. "It's all just a misunderstanding. At the lawyer's office." He smiled again, that same practiced smile from months before. But when Mr. Harris opened the folder, his tone shifted. "Mr. Whitman," he said evenly, "the documents you had your wife sign were not disclosed properly. There's clear evidence of misrepresentation." Mark's smile faltered. "What are you talking about?" he snapped. Mr. Harris turned the page. "You told her these were partnership forms. You concealed that they transferred sole ownership. That's fraud." For the first time, Mark didn't have words. He looked at me, searching for softness, maybe forgiveness, but I just looked back, calm, steady, silent. Justice came slowly, but it came. The property was returned to my name, and the debts followed him alone. When he finally packed his bags, he said, "You'll regret this, Laura." I smiled faintly. "No, Mark, I think I already did. It's been 2 years since then. The house feels lighter now." I painted the porch white again, planted new flowers, and turned Mark's old office into a reading room. Sometimes I still think about that day, the day I trusted love more than my own intuition. But I don't blame myself anymore, because trust is beautiful, but it needs honesty to survive, and love without honesty is just control dressed in kindness. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this, is never sign away your life, not on paper, not in your heart, for someone who smiles too easily when you're uncertain. If this real-life story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more calm and emotional stories like this one. Your support helps voices like mine be heard.